speak to Spurs fan Chris Cowlin to get more on this. Good to see you, Chris, as always. Look, you're having to pinch yourself a little bit. The Spurs are bidding such big numbers for Tonali.
Well, Vicky, good afternoon to you, by the way. It's about getting these deals over the line. It's all well and good being linked to these types of players, this calibre of player, but we want to start getting, these players over the line and, showing real ambition in this transfer window. But what I would say is, we're only a week in. Spurs have got 3 deals over the line. They've also extended contracts for Pedro Porro and Ben Davies as well. So it's been a busy week for Tottenham. But as you mentioned, Sandro Tonali, if he was to be holding up that Spurs shirt in the next 85 days of this transfer window, we know it's a long window. We know that Spurs are trying to be very active and get a lot of deals done and bring in some more quality, because let's be, very frank and honest about it. Finishing 17th in the Premier League for the last 2 campaigns is simply not good enough. And this transfer window needs to be a 10 out of 10 window for Tottenham. And this is a very, very important time for us. And Roberto De Zerbi, huge thanks to him for keeping Tottenham Hotspur in the Premier League. He came in for the last 7 games and got 11 points for Tottenham. And, huge thanks to him for getting us over the line. But it is now about backing the manager, making sure we're bringing in top quality players to move this club forward.
Yeah, and it looks like he's got some pulling power, doesn't it, really? I mean, if they were to get Tonali, do you think this would mark a huge change in strategy by the club?
Absolutely. It wasn't long ago at all under Ange Postecoglou. He was asked in a press conference, are Tottenham ever going to be spending £100 million on a player? And he laughed and said no. So are Tottenham changing? Is this football club changing for the better? And, are we going to be challenging for top honours in the next few years? Because, the strategy does need to change. We've gone down the data-led approach for the last couple of years under Johan Langer, particularly with the younger players coming in. And it appears now that Roberto De Zerbi is having a real say, and it does appear that the club now want to go down the route of experienced Premier League players, players with leadership qualities that we have been really lacking in the last couple of years, because we've gone down the route of signing players for the future. So it's going to be an interesting one. And as you said there about Lucas Bergvall and his numbers, only 112 minutes under De Zerbi in his 7 games in charge at the end of last season. But of course, he's played under 3 managers last season as well. So it'd be tough for players like him, because they feel that they are ready. Although they're young players, they will feel that they are ready, and they will feel that they can play every single minute of every single Premier League game. The club, it appears now, are going down the experienced player route. So it's going to be an interesting transfer window, but I want to be, on here with a big smile at the end of it. And like I said, it's about ambition.
Yeah, and not talking about 17th place again. Look, you mentioned it. They've been aggressive, haven't they? Jan-Paul van Hekke, he's coming in. That's over 50 million, I think you signed for him. And of course, that's with Roberto De Zerbi, the connections with him. Andy Robertson as well, Marcus Zanetti. Is that the area that you need to strengthen? I dare I say probably across the whole of the pitch. But do you need to bolster that forward line, do you think, more?
Vicky, it's fair to say that we need to bolster every single area on the pitch. Goalkeeper, of course, as you just mentioned there, we brought in 3 leaders, a couple of ball-playing centre-backs as well. So 3 really good signings for us. Of course, Andy Robertson with huge leadership skills and qualities as well. But in midfield, we need to improve. Certainly in that final third area, we need to improve. I feel like we need a replacement still for Heung-min Son. I know Savinho has been spoken about a lot. Whether that one gets over the line, let's wait and see. But certainly in the forward area, I feel like we need another striker in Roberto De Zerbi's squad. But as you touched on earlier, Roberto De Zerbi is having a real big say in what happens with transfers in this transfer window, and that is really, really pleasing, because a lot of fans have felt that a number of signings in recent years have been club decisions. So it's very, very important that the manager is heavily backed and is heavily involved in the decision making here.
Yeah, and the fact that they've gone in for Tonali, I'm guessing on a less positive note, this is why Lucas Bergvall has maybe said he wants to leave the club. Were you shocked by this?
I wasn't really shocked because, the stat that you pulled up there, 112 minutes in the last 7 games of the Premier League campaign, and players like him feel that they are good enough to be playing every single minute. So I've no doubt that these younger players will feel a little bit disappointed, but it does appear, like I said, that Roberto De Zerbi wants to go down the ready-made player route now. No time for waiting, because we can't be finishing anywhere near 17th place again. this football club should be fighting for top honours year in, year out. And, I've been on here a number of years talking about ambition and ambitious transfer windows. And I really do hope that we are going to see that. And by bringing in a number of signings, I know Michael Bridge in the last couple of days has stated that he expects Spurs to be bringing in 7 or 8 new players. I would go even further than that and say that Spurs need 10 new signings this season, because even after the final game of the season, De Zerbi said that there was only 10 or 12 players good enough to play for the football club, and he wants 2 players in every position. So, you've got to be bringing in 10 players or more.
Really? That surprises me. I mean, sometimes when you bring in so many players, it all gets a little bit mixed up and they don't have time to gel together. But you want to see at least 10.
Absolutely. I want to see a lot of signings in this window, and I really want to go see Spurs go for it. We can't be anywhere near what we've been in the last couple of seasons, and it was a very nail-biting end to the campaign in May. Winning at home against Everton, with the West Ham playing Leeds on that final day, and it could have been an absolute disaster for us, but Roberto De Zerbi got us over the line. And it does feel, and I must say this, it does feel very, very exciting under Roberto De Zerbi. We've only seen him manage Spurs for 7 games, but for what he achieved and what he has done at the football club in those 7 games, with all of the injury issues that we had, in that period, if you back this manager, I think that he is going to take Tottenham to the very top.
I hear you. I mean, Roberto De Zerbi comes with a fantastic CV, doesn't he? So that said, the fact that he can transform players, isn't Lucas Bergvall an important player? Because he's seen you through some really tough times. So wouldn't keeping hold of a player like that be a good move?
Yeah, I get exactly what you're saying, Vicky, but that's probably not a question for me. That's probably a question for De Zerbi himself, because, of course, there are always going to be young players who feel that they are ready. There's always going to be young players who feel that they should be getting more game time. But it does depend now on what route the manager wants to go down. You've got to be backing the manager 100%, in my opinion. So, you've got to, go with his decisions. And if he's had that conversation and he wants to bring in other players and he doesn't see, certain players in his vision, then you've got to back the manager.
Yeah, well, it looks like they are. Thank you very much, Chris. Always lovely to get your thoughts.
Thank you.